to come on Dash for the program and session on contributions of Professor R Rao. Please, sir, Chairperson sir and Barman sir. Ladies and gentlemen, R Rao sir is one personality that all of us in this society know very well. Apart from being the founder of this particular, one of the founders of this particular society, which is putting in a strong way as visualized by him. The contribution to Professor R Rao sir's session will elaborate. I am not here to speak, and we all know that this year he has passed away. He has conglomerated himself with Ma Saraswati, the great soul, the great personality, the living econometrician who will be there forever as long as the subject econometrics is there. I request all of you to stand 1 minute in silence as a mark of respect for him and then Ashirwad from him. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Sir, may I request you to take the as chairperson of this session, Barman sir, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to all of you for this session. Professor R Rao was the founder president of Indian Econometric Society. Indian Econometric Society started in 1960, and for years he was president, then followed by his being the chairman also for some years. And if you go to Wikipedia, you will get to know about this great personality that Professor R Rao is. The Times of India has placed him as one of the topmost scientists, 10 scientists of the country. US in 2002 gave him their national award. Then Statistics Nobel Prize instituted by Indian International Statistical Institute gave him the medal, which is equivalent to Nobel Prize in Statistics in 2023. And shortly after that, a few days short of his 103rd birthday, he passed away among us. But the subject which he started, along with great souls of statistics those days, he gave a firm foundation to the subject of statistics. And statistics is everywhere. Wherever there is an issue of objectivity, there is an issue of measurement, there is an issue of how to draw inference based on objectivities. Now, you know about R Rao inequality. See, we talk about unbiasedness, consistency, efficiency and sufficiency. And this bias and efficiency part is wonderfully dealt with by this lower bound, and which is fundamental to not only statistics, it is an objective science, but also for rigorous research in any discipline. Professor K.L.K. Krishna is his student, direct student, to earlier days in the 50s. he will tell about his very, very close association with Professor R Rao. I also had the fortune to be very close to Professor R Rao. We got him in our Indian Econometric Society conference in 2007 in IIT Bombay. After many years, he came. Highly fascinating personality, apart from a genius. I think that's what the American Statistical Association named him as a prodigy, greatest prodigy. That's what it is. We lost him. It's very sad of us. But Indian Econometric Society, even before his death, we institute R Rao gold medal. And first gold medal also we gave in his presence. He graced the occasion, though he was not well. And I think that was a very good satisfaction for us that during his lifetime itself he could see what has happened. The R Rao Institute in Hyderabad, I was associated from Reserve Bank of India. We tried to help him to establish an institution so that his name remains immemorial. And that institute is thriving with all vigor. I'll come towards the end to speak something because I am in the chair. But right now, I'll invite our distinguished panelist to share with you about Professor R Rao. Dr. Rangarajan has given a recorded thing because at his advanced age he has not been able to come here. We'll first listen to what Dr. Rangarajan has said. Then Professor Krishna is there, and Professor Probal Chaudhuri, who is from Indian Statistical Institute, who has thorough, deep knowledge and study both about Professor Bhawan and Professor R Rao. He will be a key speaker. He will also speak virtually. I think from Kolkata, since he is traveling, he could not attend this conference physically. But I am sure that through this process, you will get to know about certain other dimensions of Professor R Rao, such a great person. In fact, the Government of India has given him Padma Vibhushan, that too way back 2001. So it's after so many years. I think he deserves the best. That's what I can say, and he will remain always immortal in the research community's world. With this, I don't want to stand between you and other speakers. I think Professor Rangarajan, you are playing first?
Yes, sir. He's coming.
Okay, please get going.
Yes,
then
sir.
we'll see the others.
I wish to join you all in paying tribute to Dr. R Rao, who passed away recently. Dr. R Rao is an outstanding statistician who has done us all proud. His contributions to statistics have brought recognition not only to himself, but to the whole band of Indian statisticians. It is given only to a few to shape the contours of a discipline. Professor R Rao is one among such a select few. Through his path-breaking articles, spread over several decades, he has given shape to statistics as a separate discipline. His contributions to statistical theory are thus fundamental. The distinguished American statistician Bradley F. Rao said, and I quote, "The first half of the 20th century was the golden age of statistical theory, during which our field grew from ad hoc origins similar to the current state of computer science into a firmly grounded mathematical science. Men of the intellectual caliber of Fisher, Neyman, Pearson, Hoefling, Wald, Kramer, and Rao were needed to bring statistical theory to maturity. Unquote. No wonder several of Rao's results in statistics bear his name and are incorporated in all textbooks on statistics. Statistics is concerned with understanding the real world through the information that can be derived from classification and measurement. Statistics may be relatively a new discipline, but its application is ubiquitous. There is no branch of physical or social sciences which can do without the discipline of statistics. Economics, a discipline to which all of us belong, has been immensely enriched by developments in statistical methods. Economic theory, at best, can give the nature and sign of the relationship among the variables. However, without a numerical magnitude of the relationships, theory will be of little use in policy. Statistics began as a collection and presentation of numerical data in such a manner as to reveal their salient features. The origin of the term statistics is associated with this concept. Imaginative ways of displaying and summarizing very large data sets have still a role to play. Nevertheless, the big jump happened when the discipline moved away from statistical enumeration to statistical inference. Once the power of probability theory to bridge the gap between population and sample was fully grasped, statistical science had emerged, giving birth to a tool of enormous strength and potential. To deal with uncertainty is a compulsion of life. Statistics has helped us to understand risk, measure it, and weigh its consequences. It has replaced helplessness before the fates with choice and decision. As Professor C. R. Rao himself wrote in his book Statistics and Growth, and I quote, "Chance is no longer something to worry about or an expression of ignorance as scientists and philosophers from the time of Aristotle thought. On the contrary, it is a way to present our knowledge. Chance may be the antithesis of all law, but the way out is to discover the laws of chance." Unquote. Very often, the terms statistics and data are used interchangeably. Obviously, this is incorrect. As an eminent statistician once said, and I quote, "There can be no statistics without data, and no statistics with the data alone." Professor C. R. Rao once said that the first task of a statistician is to cross-examine the data, which literally means putting questions to data and find and elicit answers. Variability and uncertainty are the hallmark of a statistical problem. And it is this which gives statistics the right of entry to almost every sphere of human endeavor. Nevertheless, we must understand that statistics builds on data, and that is why we need data that are credible, timely, and adequate. There is some controversy over the credibility of data on national income is unfortunate. The main responsibility lies with the government to clarify the situation and clear all doubts. To go back to Dr. C. R. Rao, his career is truly amazing. Even when he was in his 20s, he had done outstanding work. Some of his landmark publications preceded his obtaining the PhD degree. Professor Terry Speed writes, and I quote, "The 1940s were ungrudgingly Rao's. His 1945 paper, which contains the Kramer-Rao-Bound Rao-Blackwell theorem and the beginning of differential geometry a parameter space, will guarantee that even had he done nothing else, but there was much else." Unquote. Two of his papers, written during the 40s, were reproduced in the book Breakthroughs in Statistics, 1890-1990. As an economist, I must draw attention to the fact that many of the writings had an impact on the economic tools used by economists. C.R. Rao made fundamental contributions to all the four stages of statistical modeling: specification, identification, estimation, and testing of hypotheses. Dr. C.R. Rao was born on September 10, 1920. Despite his age, he was working to the last on many new issues and questions. He is a legendary figure in his chosen field of statistics.
Dear friends, it is a big honor for me to speak on the occasion of recollecting the contributions of Professor C.R. Rao, who passed away a few weeks short of his 103rd birthday. He passed away on August 22, 2023. I had the privilege of being a student, becoming a student in 1956 when I joined the Advanced Statistics course at ISI after completing my MSc in Statistics from Kerala University. Of course, that is it was on the basis of a competitive examination I was selected, and it was a 3-year program. I was, of course, along with a few others, I was given exemption of 1 year, so I could complete the course in 2 years. That was in 1956. And during 1956-57, ISI celebrated its silver jubilee. And all the world famous statisticians, including R Fisher, E.S. Pearson, W.E. Yeats, Deming, and so on, they attended the silver jubilee functions. So at that same time, during that period, the famous geneticist J.B.S. Halden also was spending his sabbatical, or in fact he was to become an Indian citizen. He spent his time in last 1 or 2 years in ISI, J.B.S. Halden. Because C.S. Rao was also interested in genetical problems, therefore the genetical issues, so he invited J.B.S. Halden to be a visiting professor. I think the Professor C.R. Rao's contributions to teaching and research in statistics very well known. I think some of these I don't want to repeat. I will give you an excellent detailed interview by Anil Bera. Anil Bera was also a student of ISI a few years after me. He interviewed C.R. Rao in Urbana, Champaign, and this interview was published in the Econometric theory, and I think it has about 30-40 pages. It covers all aspects of C.R. Rao's contributions in statistics as of 2002. I think these can be, I think the interview has several sections. I think it a general introduction, the family background of Professor C.R. Rao and his early education in college from 1922 to 1940. And then his first stay in ISI from 1941 to 46. I think C.R. Rao published very good papers even in 1941 at the age of 21. And he spent 2 years in Cambridge, 1946 to 1948, working with R. Fisher for his PhD. And he returned to ISI in 1948 and spent there till 1978. That 30 years he was there. And when Mahalanobis passed away in 1972, C.R. Rao became the director of ISI. He finally retired in 1979 from ISI and migrated to US. I think he was there for 44 years in the US, and of course his work he continued in a very big way. Also, I must say, he had some interest in econometrics, and his contributions in econometrics are covered in about 3-4 pages in this interview. And as most of you know, he had established an institute, Advanced Institute for Mathematics, Statistics and Computer Science in Hyderabad, with a grant from the Government of India. I think Manmohan Singh was instrumental in giving a grant of 10 crores for this institute. And there is, I think, this is the brochure of the work on the Advanced Center for and so on. And here I think I should have so I think this is his meeting with Manmohan Singh in 2007. I think probably I will leave it here. Maybe your technicians can make use of these and circulate it. That will be very informative because and his student, PhD student S.B. Rao, he was the first director of this new institute in Hyderabad. I think this has very interesting pictures. I think maybe you will probably, I will leave it here. You can give it to me tomorrow or day after.
Okay.
I think you can, it will be very interesting for the audience to do this.
Okay.
Subsequently, after he passed away, of course his visits to ISI have become infrequent from the US. You know, the ISI has a trade union problem, and he was not very, he is a strict disciplinarian. His discipline was not liked by the staff, by the so-called workers. I think, so his visits to India have become infrequent after he moved to the US. I think first I must say, the problem is much more in ISI Kolkata. So first he moved to the Delhi campus of ISI, he spent some time there, and finally he migrated to the US. C.R. Rao is a strict disciplinarian. I think, I must say, a mild person like me also was subject to his discipline. For some of us, his students in the advanced course, staying in the hostel of ISI, went to Vishabharati, where Nehru was addressing the convocation. Jawaharlal Nehru used to go to Vishabharati every year. That winter, in December 2005, 6 of us went to Vishabharati to listen to Jawaharlal Nehru's convocation address. We did not take formal permission of C.R. Rao. He inquired, what happened to these guys? When they said we all went to Vishabharati, he didn't like it because we didn't take his permission. We thought it is vacation time, we don't need to take permission. Then he put up a notice saying that I am fining them that 25% of their stipend for this month will be not paid, will be deducted. That is the kind of discipline he tried to exercise. But subsequently, of course, he became quite friendly to me also. In 1985, along with Sugma Chakravarti, he took the initiative to start Journal of Quantitative Economics. And he identified me as the managing editor along with Sugma Chakravarti. I think Sugma Chakravarti knew me more intimately than C.R. Rao. So he proposed my name and that was approved by C.R. Rao. I ran the journal for 10 years, worked very hard. I used to spend only about 50,000 per year on the journal. I could manage that. So then next, of course, my friend, it was passed on to T.C. Anant and another colleague of mine, R K Das. They ran it for 2 years. And finally it went to Bombay. Manohar Rao and Nachne, they took over the journal. And I think still it is with Nachne as the chief editor-in-chief. And our managing editor is P.G. Babu, who is here. I am very happy he is here. He comes to these meetings. He is running the journal very well. And I think C.R. Rao would be feeling very happy wherever he is for the way success of the journal. I don't want to take more time because they may have many more things to say. Only I would draw your attention to the tribute paid by Atanu Biswas of ISI, where I think he said that the American-born Indian-American C.R. Rao wins Nobel Prize equivalent in statistics at the age of 102. This was awarded to him in July 2023. This Nobel Prize, Nobel-like prize. I think one can go on. I will only pay my sincere tribute to C.R. Rao for his seminal contributions to statistics, and I think he put up India in the world map of statistics, and no one could match him subsequently. There are so many statisticians all over the world. No one earned so much fame as C.R. Rao, and I had the privilege of being his student for 2 years and getting fined by him for not taking his permission. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Professor Probal Chaudhuri is from ISI, Kolkata. He is one of the top statisticians of the country.
Very distinguished, highly illustrious career. And I think he has done research on the works of both Professor Mahalanobis and Professor C.R. Rao very intensely and deeply. So I thought that I think he can illuminate us with vital issues and key issues on Professor C.R. Rao. So thank you, Professor Chaudhuri, for being present here. Now we are at your disposal. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Barman, and thanks to the organizers. It's very difficult to touch on giving the tip of the iceberg and giving that huge contribution of Actually, Sierra after he joined the master's program at the Calcutta University in 1941, in his final year, the year 1943, he chose to write a dissertation problems. And one of the problems that he solved at that time was originally posed by the famous econometrician, Professor Fish. It was about some efficient relationship to variables. It's like you have three independent variables and these variables. Linear combination of the combination of another pair, and then you try to that linear combination of the other linear combination, and then you try to figure out when is that equation going to be linear. It's a problem in econometrics, and Rao solved that problem, and that paper was published in Econometric in 1947 with a correction note by Rao himself in the same year, and he was only 27 years old at that time. Okay, so a lot of people don't know about it. That's actually his first paper in Econometrica, and it was actually based on his master's thesis. So in his master's thesis he worked on another problem. I will not mention it here. I am mentioning the one that is connected to econometrics. So that is his first work in econometrics. Anyway, so I think all of us know Rao for his two major contributions, namely Rao-Blackwell and Rao. Rao-Blackwell theorem and Rao were bound that he did in 1943, during the period 1943-44, when he was teaching at Calcutta University as a part-time lecturer and also working at Indian Statistical Institute as an employee. He was actually a student of the first batch that graduated from Calcutta University with master's degree, and he was one of the 5 students who graduated. And shortly after he graduated, Mahalanobis offered him a job, and he was teaching as a part-time lecturer for Calcutta University also. And there, while teaching, he had a student in his class, and many of you probably know his name. He is a very famous economist. His name is Dandekar. And Dandekar, while in his class, asked him some question, and it is this question that led to two great theorems, Rao-Blackwell theorem and Rao theorem that Rao did following that question that Dandekar asked. And according to Rao's own writing, when Dandekar asked this question, he went back home and he was thinking about the problem. In fact, it is related to some earlier work of Fisher on the lower bound of the mean square error of a statistical estimate. And Dandekar's question was, so Fisher's work was on asymptotics of the estimates, and Dandekar's question was whether one can give a finite sample bound to the mean square error, and that's what Rao gave using Rao lower bound. And this Rao lower bound, as if you don't know the derivation, you know it's a very simple result, but it's a very striking result. It uses a very simple mathematical tool called Cauchy-Short inequality that many of you know, but the power of this result is immense, and it is used in almost all statistical applications at a very fundamental level. And as he was working on that, he also worked on the problem of construction of unbiased estimate with good mean square error, and that led to the famous Rao-Blackwell theorem. Now, though it is called the Rao-Blackwell theorem, Rao published the work in 1945 in the bulletin of the Calcutta Mathematical Society. And hello, okay. So I think I was lost temporarily. So what I was saying is that C.R. Rao's work, that is popularly known as Rao-Blackwell theorem, actually C.R. Rao did before it was done by Blackwell. C.R. Rao published in 1945, while Blackwell independently, without C.R. Rao's work, did that and published it in 1947 in the Annals of Mathematical Statistics. So anyway, I think the impact of Rao is so great that it eventually led to a concept of what is now called the information geometry. In fact, the international prize that C.R. Rao was awarded that cited three of his major contributions. The first one was Rao, the second one was Rao-Blackwell, and the third one was this information geometry. For information geometry, there was a lot of contribution from two other people, two other great statisticians, namely Bikram and Shunichi Amari, the Japanese statistician. So C.R. Rao's work on Rao actually led to a concept of differentiable manifolds on the state of probability distribution. So if you have a parametric family of probability distributions, one can show that that family of probability distributions can be made into a differentiable manifold where the Riemannian metric or the geodesic-based metric is actually generated from the Fisher information which is connected to the Rao normal. Okay. So these are considered still three of his major contributions. So people probably don't know that all these things he did well before he had a PhD degree. He was a fresh master student teaching in class, and while teaching he invented these results. He did his PhD under the supervision of R. Fisher when he went to England, and that was he was there from 1946 to 48. And his journey to England was quite interesting. He actually traveled to England in a steamship which was carrying Italian prisoners from Bombay to Italy, and then he and another person from Kolkata, Krishna, were traveling by that ship to go to Cambridge. And they were going to Cambridge because the Cambridge Anthropological Museum wanted two people to be sent there. So J.C. Trevor from Cambridge wrote to Prashantachandra Mohanamish requesting him to depute two statisticians to go there, and C.R. Rao and Ramakrishna Mukherjee went there, and C.R. Rao took that opportunity to meet Fisher in Cambridge, whom he met also earlier when Fisher came to Calcutta, and he took that opportunity to do his PhD under the supervision of Fisher. Now, C.R. Rao has said something interesting about the interaction with the Fisher, and I will just read that out because C.R. Rao, this says a lot about what kind of research interaction C.R. Rao had with his PhD supervisor. So, he went to talk to Fisher, and he is writing in his own, C.R. Rao is writing this in his own autobiographical essay. So for my PhD thesis, I wanted a theoretical topic. I asked Fisher to suggest some problems on which I could work, and he said, problem must be all yours, and I shall help you if I can. I wrote my PhD thesis on classification problems extending Fisher's work on the discriminant function to more than two populations, a problem which arose in my work at the museum. I did not take much help from Fisher. Finally, when I showed him the thesis, he said the problem was worth investigating. Actually, this thesis sort of forms today the foundation of what we call machine learning and discriminant analysis. I mean, C.R. Rao gave the first proof of baseless optimality of the linear discriminant function that Fisher invented. That is his PhD thesis. Now, C.R. Rao further writes here, I have been telling my research students, but Fisher told me that they should choose their own problems for research. I could succeed only in a very few cases. So I thought I should read this because I expect some students and supervisors might be present in the audience. So it's an interesting thing that C.R. Rao said. I will pass this message of C.R. Rao to the audience. So anyway, so after this PhD work in 1948 and he returned to India, and he was only 28 years old at that time, and he was made a professor at Indian Statistical Institute, and he continued there till, as the previous speaker has just mentioned, in 1979 he moved to England, he moved to United States and he went to University of Pittsburgh. And then in 1988 he moved to Penn State, where he continued till his death. And during his stay in Kolkata, after he became a professor, he did many work, and I don't think I can touch upon all of them. But there is one very interesting work that a lot of people don't know about, and it's one of his major contributions. It has a great impact in machine learning today, and unfortunately, because this work of C R Rao was published in Shanta, and a lot of people don't know about it, so many people these days are reinventing this about. So this is actually a paper C R Rao wrote with the famous mathematician, probabilist Rangarajan. It was in 1963, and there were 4 great people in ISI at the Indian Statistical Institute at that time. One was Chairperson, and then Rangarajan, then SRS Bhawan, and Rangarajan. These 4 people are considered to be world-time great stars that has come out of ISI as PhDs. I was lost momentarily. So I was talking about C R Rao's 1963 paper with Rangarajan, where he showed something very interesting. That we all know that 2 Gaussian probability distributions, which arise frequently in machine learning literature, they are mutually absolutely continuous. It's like if you have 2 Gaussian probability distributions, there is an overlap, and one probability distribution is absolutely continuous with respect to the other. But it is not true when you have infinite dimensional data. In the case of infinite dimensional data, something very striking happens. 2 Gaussian probability measures with positive definite covariance operator, they may be mutually absolutely continuous, or they may be completely orthogonal. That means they may be sitting on completely disjoint parts of the subspace, which is very striking. Okay? That doesn't happen in finite dimensional spaces, and this is still a very striking result. And C R Rao and Rangarajan discovered it in 1963, and they gave a lot of interesting mathematical conditions for mutual absolute continuity, because that is what is important from the point of view of classification. But as I was reading about C R Rao's work, I discovered something interesting, and maybe I will conclude by mentioning that. And this is something that is very sensitive, and I would have not dared to mention it unless I had read it in C R Rao's own writing. So I will just tell you what I have read from C R Rao's own writing. So C R Rao was working in Cambridge in the anthropological museum, and also he was working under the supervision of Ronald Fisher, who was the Balfour Professor of Genetics there. So he writes this: I kept myself busy in Cambridge, dividing my time between bones and stones at the University Anthropological Museum and mice at Whittingham Lodge, the official. So he is talking about Wishart, related to the famous Wishart distribution. So he writes this: J. Wishart was working in the School of Agriculture, which was next door to the museum, and I had the opportunity to meet him frequently and discuss statistical problems. Then he writes this, which is the shocking part. I remember one occasion when he told me that Professor Harold Hotelling, who was in Chapel Hill at that time, was thinking of offering me a position at the University of North Carolina, and wrote to him means Wishart, to check up on my skin color, as there was difficulty in hiring dark-colored persons at the University of North Carolina at that time. Now, I would have never mentioned this unless I have read it in C R Rao's own writing. So I thought it will be interesting to mention this, because the amount of struggle that C R Rao had gone through, if you read his autobiography that he named the statistics as the last resort, that's quite mind-boggling. And so it's like, when he graduated from Andhra University and he was trying to get a scholarship to pursue his postgraduate and doctoral studies, he was declined. Okay, so then he was looking for jobs and couldn't find any. And then he came to Calcutta, and fortunately somebody put him in touch with the Indian Statistical Institute. And so he got an apprentice position there, and then eventually he took admission in the statistics program in Calcutta University, which was the first in, not only in India, in entire Asia. And then his life took a completely different turn, and he reached probably the highest position that one can ever reach as a mathematician or a statistician. Okay. But this incident about Wishart is quite striking. He was born in 1920, and it was before he reached age 30, he proved results like Kramer, Rao, Rao, Blackwell, and Fisher, the optimality of Fisher's discriminant function and such things. In spite of that, he had to struggle so much, and there are issues that he had to face. Okay. So I think I will not take any more time, and I will stop here. He passed away at the age of 102, almost 103 last year, and we all wish wherever he is, he will rest in peace now, because what he has contributed to statistics and science, the science will remember that forever, and let's hope that he will have peace in a place where he is now. Thank you all.
Thank you for inviting me to speak on a legend like Dr. C.R. Rao. I've heard about him when I was doing undergraduate level in Vijayawada. One of my teachers, statistics teacher, told me his contributions in statistics. So after that, I started, reading about him, what his contributions and all. At the Delhi School of Economics, of course, Prof. Krishna and all used to talk about Dr. C.R. Rao and Prof. Nagar also. Also later in IGIDR, he came and gave a very good lecture on statistics. I met him and discussed with him some of the things. Last time I saw, of course, online was when Tice gave this medal to, it instituted the medal in honor of Dr. C.R. Rao. He was online participating, and it was given to Dr. Rangarajan and Dr. Jagdish Bhagwati, a joint one. I think Dr. Panchamukhi gave this medal. So that time I saw him maybe 1 or 2 years back. But his contributions already people spoke, so I will be very brief. In fact, I've read somewhere that he's one of the two great who have lived 100 years, the statisticians. One is Dr. C.R. Rao, other one is D.J. Fenney. He's also Ronald Fisher's student, so both lived more than maybe statistics, you can live longer. But he got, of course, so many awards they have mentioned. The one, of course, George Bush also gave one award for his National Medal of Science in 2002 for his great contributions in statistical theory and applications. And also he served, it seems, the president of 5 statistical societies. One is, of course, Indian Econometric Society, and then International Biometric Society and Institute of Mathematical Statistics and so on. But also some things we don't know is that he was a great photographer also, I think a great cook and photographer. And also he used to manage choreographer for his daughter's dance performances. So the other side, he was also president of the Kuchipudi Dance Academy in New Delhi when he was in Delhi. So a multifaceted personality. He, of course, he was also institutional builder, the ISI, and also Prof. Krishna mentioned Hyderabad also, where they have one institute. Of course, in the R Rao Institute, they also named one road, R Rao Road in Hyderabad. But his statistical contributions are well known. I won't repeat the Kramer Rao inequality and Rao Blackwell thing. But I didn't know that Dandekar also, Professor Dandekar was also responsible. So Ajit, you can take credit for Gokula Institute for this contribution. Lastly, the best tribute we can have as statisticians or econometricians could pay him is to perpetuate his memory by exploring the applications of his ideas and results. Thank you very much.
Friends, we have already possibly crossed the time. I will not take much time between you and the lunch. Only thing in this forum I would like to tell you is that as Sumpita has mentioned, that the economics can be approached in three ways. One is by way of history, second is by way of economic theory, third is by statistics. And econometrics in some way or other combines all the three. And its foundation has been laid by a great statistician about whom we have learned. Today is the data revolution. Data is the oil of the economy. And as econometricians, what happens is that coming from the past always drags us behind. And we at times find it difficult to march ahead with the latest possible things. But I will only say one thing. In the ultimate, if theory does not explain the data, theory needs to be revisited, not the data. And econometrics has this responsibility. As a community, we have this responsibility. And today, data science has emerged as a very important discipline. In the Davos, data science was discussed, artificial intelligence, machine learning. I am very happy that in this session, in this econometric conference, there is a session on that. I think we need to really remember the fundamental of the econometrics, which is based out of data and its analysis, and we need to vigorously pursue that. I think Hayek also said more or less same thing, that economics alone cannot address many of the problems. It requires many disciplines to come together to address these problems. And that to extract knowledge, and how to extract knowledge, to make the society a knowledge society, that responsibility lies heavily on us. I think we need to contribute towards making the society a knowledge society. I think that will really satisfy one of the major mandate of the Indian Econometric Society. Thank you all.